everyone. Welcome to another episode of In Conversation by Advisor Coach. Today in conversation, our guest is Mr. Nitin Gosar, Fund Manager Equity with Bank of India Mutual Fund. Welcome, Nitin, to In Conversation by Advisor Coach.
Thank you, Surenji, for having us on your channel.
My pleasure. So, Nitin, just to begin with, if you could just give us a brief background about your investment journey and experience.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I am Nitin Gosar, Fund Manager at BOI Mutual Fund. During last 20 years of my journey, I have been involved in fund management and equity research. Since last 2 years, I am with BOI Mutual Fund, managing different schemes, mainly multi-cap, large and mid-cap, manufacturing and infra fund. Prior to BOI Mutual Fund, I was with Invesco Mutual Fund for almost 12 years.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, Nitin, Bank of India Mutual Fund have launched a new fund offer on 29th November, which is yesterday, and closing on the 13th December. That's right, which is the Bank of India Consumption Fund. So, of course, we've been hearing a lot about the consumption, as a theme, as a strategy. But could you just, tell our viewers more about what is going to be your investment style of the consumption fund? And, is consumption a really a word which is too talked about, or is it actually really happening within our economy? Which all sectors within the consumptions are being, nicely being touched upon, and which age group, when we look at, is actually leading to the great consumption?
Sure. And you rightly touch upon the line that is macro factors. And we believe India is benefiting from macro as well as behavioral change, which is pushing the consumption ball to shift from essential to discretionary.
Hmm.
And within that, desire is now becoming the center stage of decision making. We are already witnessing rise in demand like SUVs or a bigger flat or convenience shopping, fine dining, luxury travel. So this is all becoming part of trends that we are participating in. And the fund endeavor is to invest in opportunities which are in discretionary space, which is expected to grow almost 1.5 times faster than the GDP growth in medium to long run. Since the fund mandate is to participate in consumption as a theme, we screen multiple sectors which are across market capitalization so that we can build our portfolio by not being too much specific about sectors or market cap. So we will like to have a lineage towards more market cap and sector agnostic. We believe portfolio with 40 to 50 stocks will help us to cover larger canvas of this consumer discretionary spending.
Sure. So, which age group do you believe is driving the consumption actually in India? And what all sectors do you believe broadly are getting covered in this great consumption story?
Perfect. So the age group, which is primarily between 25 to 35,
Hmm.
uh, since they are becoming part of the income pool, where as a family, if you look back and reflect, every 15 years, our responsibility towards our family keeps coming down because there are certain obligations which our previous generation had. We don't carry it forward today, and responsibility that we carry today, our children don't carry it forward,
Yeah.
like supporting your family, trying to buy a new house, or getting your siblings wedded, or education cost and all. So because of that, all the incremental income which is getting generated out of this 25-35 pool
Hmm.
age group is getting more and more exposed towards discretionary spending. Plus they are socially well connected and they get easily influenced by what is happening around them.
Could you also, give some examples around it, Nitin?
Sure. So classic examples are travel as a
Hmm.
space. So we
Hmm.
have a lot of ancillary around like baggage or hotel industry to participate through. If you go further down, then there is restaurant as a theme. If you go further down, then there is automobile as a theme because more and more people are wanting to have SUVs or a two wheeler, which is upwards of 1.5 lakh as a bracket.
Yeah.
They are not getting satisfied easily. Mobile as a consumption theme is well known, well understood by everyone looking around. And there are also certain themes like music industries, which is changing as per time, and those are new age themes which are evolving as per technology changes. And there are ways and means to participate in those ideas. Then,
Sure. So, what factors are driving this consumption? Because if you were to look at from the GDP per capita perspective, we are ranked as 10th in the globe. And if you look at from the PPP perspective, we are fifth. So what are your thoughts around it? Is the PPP being ranked at fifth, the purchasing power parity? What are the factors driving this consumption?
Good observation again. I would agree with your observation. We are improving on PPP as a country, and macro data that is indicating or is benefiting the factors that are influencing the consumption is only incrementally unfolding from medium to long term basis. Primarily, if I were to divide into three buckets. Largely, my 2 points would be pertaining towards macro data, which is helping us, and 1 point would be more defining towards the behavioral aspect, because largely we miss out on that by looking only at macro data. So India today, is at $3.5 trillion GDP, with the median age of around 28. And when China achieved this mark, its average or median age was around 34. Let us consider this as a journey where a country moves from age of 28 to 34. So as a nation, we'll end up seeing many events. A person at age of 28 goes to 34, he'll ends up buying a new house, new vehicle, he's getting wedded. So, there's a wedding ceremony. So there's a lot of spending towards jewelry, apparels, more travel, more dining out, etc. So this all will keep picking up in India over a period of next 12 to 15 years,
Sure.
because the span that we discussed, age moving from 28 to 34, it
Hmm.
doesn't get covered on a country level in 6 years. It gets
Hmm.
covered in 12 years on a country level.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there is a massive runway of growth which is still pending in India, which is going to get covered.
Correct.
Second
Absolutely.
important point is, if one were to reflect and look to our GDP, it has, gone double, or it has grown by twice over last 10 years. Our per capita has also gone up by 2x over last 10 years. But our non-food consumption, which is not so essential, that bucket has gone up by 4x.
Hmm.
So the journey that we are trying to discuss out today, that is already started to reflect in our behavior. Non-food consumption going up. That means we want to enjoy our life. We want to spend. We want to show we have arrived in our life.
Yeah.
And incrementally, more data are suggesting that in next 25 years, that is, 2047, India is likely to become Viksit Bharat. If so, then our GDP is going to at least go up by 7x, and this non-food consumption is only going to go up by 10x.
Absolutely.
So 10 divided by 7, we are talking about 1.5x journey from here on growth aspects. So this indication for us are tremendous power to
Hmm.
consider certain themes wherein consumption fits in well. But these are longer themes. So the question is what will propel in between. So that is where the behavioral aspect is coming into play. We cannot forget the change that is coming through, because we are more connected as a people via social media than ever before, and this is driving change towards the aspirational product. The rise of Gen Z, which
Hmm.
is somebody who is between age of today 14 to 29,
Hmm.
they are incrementally becoming, like age of 26 is incrementally becoming part of
Hmm.
income pool, and
Correct.
these people are thinking differently, who prefers something like trend over brand. They prefer convenience and aspirational product, and their spending pattern are totally different, and one
Hmm.
can classify they're totally radical in the way they are spending versus the previous generation. So this third is like a booster, which is of 12 15 years growth that we are talking. There is a booster attached to it, which is coming because of this change.
Absolutely. And I totally echo with your thoughts because, the way the consumption story has kind of exploded in our country, there is so much of aspirational demand gap in India. And particularly if when you look at the headline inflation, which comes at 6%, etc., that's not the inflation we're living in. The
Yeah,
lifestyle inflation, which we are actually touching upon, is 8 to 9%.
yeah,
Correct? And in spite of that inflation, we're looking at consumption of four-wheelers, two-wheelers, travel, telecom, mobile phones, cars, everywhere across. It's absolutely. So you said this product is going to be very, very market and sector agnostic and about 40 to 50 stocks.
perfect.
So, but any particular sector which you probably might be slightly heavier on, to your mind, some tactical calls which you might take when you create the portfolio?
No, we are trying to drive this outcome on more bottom-up basis as well, but
Sure.
rightfully, because it's a theme. So
Hmm.
there are certain sectors which are on our top agenda, where auto also becomes one of the play, and then there are a lot of consumer services. Therein a lot of travel comes into play, a lot of restaurants or dining out also comes into play.
Sure, sure. So this brings me to another question that, we have a lot of consumption fund strategies already running. Why would someone invest in Bank of India Consumption Fund, as an NFO, as an investor or a distributor?
Perfect. Yeah. The fund that Bank of India Consumption Fund is trying to come with, or the theme, or the underlying principle that we are trying to come up with, the whole endeavor is to capitalize on the evolving consumption trends, which are driven by two aspects, which is rising disposable income and change in lifestyle. So we are very much gravitated towards these two themes, and portfolio will have blend of lot of discretionary names, e-commerce name. Staples will be there, but those are more in consideration of resilienceness that they portray to the portfolio in times when generally market activities are slightly muted. But there are other consumption allied activities which gives a booster. So for example, if there is something like manufacturing activity which is very closely linked to a brand, like for example, I may not be able to participate directly into an MNC brand which is white goods,
Mhm.
but there is a way and means to participate in the manufacturing activity of that white good brand. So we'll participate through those backdoor entries, which will give us a booster in terms of you know overall growth aspect. And when we look at growth, because most of these companies come up with very strong balance sheet, very rarely they have a weak balance sheet. So generally, that companies are good, and you want to participate on growth mandate because the overall macro runway is showing you certainly a pitch that you want to bet on. So you want to have a growth per se biasness, and when you have a growth per se biasness, you want to have three gradients attached to it. One is more like a stable growth, where something which can provide resilience to your portfolio. But then there has to be an extended growth, like which can capture those 10, 15 years of journey, which is growing faster than GDP that we talked about by 1.5 times. And then there is evolving business which are trying to help you to generate alpha over medium to long term. So
Sure.
this is how we are trying to approach the overall fund management activity.
Just two questions which come to our mind is that when you look at this portfolio you getting constructed, will it be more what a flexi in a nature when you get to create it, and will it be more value oriented, momentum driven? How do you foresee the portfolio's management and general construction? If you could just throw some light on that as well.
Sure, sure. So this portfolio style is definitely going to be more flexi in nature. There will be certain large caps, but the idea is not to chase them. The idea is to identify companies, new things, new themes which can participate in consumption, so that we can have benefit for a longer period of time
So,
and create alpha for our investors. So that is how we are going to approach, and we don't want to chase value, because value typically helps when you have a weaker balance sheet and there is
mm,
an underlying asset which can be valued more aggressively versus the balance sheet that the organization is having today.
sure,
Over years, since the larger part of companies are having strong balance sheet, so you don't chase value here, you only chase growth here.
sure, sure. So, through this in conversation today, Nitin, what message would you like to give to distributors, investors, and financial advisors about the Bank of India Consumption Fund (NFO)?
So, India consumption story is evolving, and it is evolving from just essential to more discretionary. The size of consumption economy will grow multifold from today. We cast our portfolio for clients. We insist them few things when we are casting this portfolio. Uh, you know, Look at the, or whenever in past time, whenever we cast portfolio, we tell our clients, look at companies which have long runway of growth.
Mhm.
Look at for healthy size of profit pool, which can benefit over a period of time. And we also tell them, look at businesses which have low failure rate, stable cash flow, less government policy intervention. So in a way, all these gradients or all these benefits are present in consumption as a theme, because we are in a way touching all the aspects. And we believe, many consumption driven business offer this kind of strong aspects. And when you have these kind of strong aspects playing in your way, the whole endeavor is to leverage on this strong backdrop and have a growth biased portfolio which is more agile, and trying to identify a new theme which can evolve over a period of time, so that you can have a better alpha generation.
Sure, sure, sure. So, well, for our viewers, this is Mr. Nitin Gosar, Fund Manager Equity with Bank of India Mutual Fund, talking about their new fund offer, Bank of India Consumption One, which got launched yesterday on 29th of November and closing on 13th of December. So, Nitin, thank you very much for joining us and taking our viewers through the Bank of India Consumption Fund, new fund offer strategy, and of course, briefly as you mentioned about the great consumption story about India and how it continues to be. We wish you very, very best for this NFO, and thank you so much, Nitin, for taking our time to join in today.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.